On the afternoon of July 24th, 2024, driver Jeffrey Callahan was driving in Sebastopol, California with his 6-year-old daughter. Mr. Callahan is a type 1 diabetic and wears a continuous glucose monitor that alerts him through his phone when his blood sugar drops. But on this day, the device malfunctioned and failed to warn him that his blood sugar was falling as he drove. Sebastopol 911 received a report of a suspected drunk driver swerving across the roadway. An Officer Forrest Whitehall of the Sebastopol Police Department responded and located the truck stopped at a red light. When Officer Whitehall activated his emergency lights, Mr. Callahan did not respond, and a slow pursuit at speeds between 20 and 40 miles per hour continued out of town until the truck drifted off the roadway and crashed into a ditch. The events that followed were captured on officer body camera.
Lincoln 5 continuing southbound, almost striking vehicles in oncoming traffic between the center median and the bike lane. Speeds are 37. Moderate traffic, can you advise the SO?
They're online now.
Or 40.
Copy, TC at 2400, got.
Lincoln 5 TC, across from Antique Society, start code 3 medics.
Copy,
Police! Turn the truck off! Turn the truck off! Lincoln 5, high risk stop. The exact numerics are going to be 2580 Graf South. The car. Step out of the car right now. Step out. Step out. Look at me. Step out. Step out. Go down to your stomach. Down to your stomach right now. Down to your stomach. Down to your stomach. Go down to your stomach right now or I will tase you. Go down to your stomach right now. Lincoln 5, taser deployed. Stay on the ground. Stay down! Stay down! Get on your stomach! Roll over on your stomach right now! Roll over! Get on your stomach! I will keep tasing you! Stay on your stomach! Do not move!
Officer Whitehall approaches the crashed truck with his firearm drawn and pointed at Mr. Callahan, orders him out of the vehicle, and then tases him multiple times when he does not get down onto his stomach despite his hands being raised. Use of force by police is governed by the Fourth Amendment, and the Supreme Court held in the 1989 case of Graham v. Connor that the reasonableness, and therefore the constitutionality, of a use of force is judged by weighing the severity of the suspected crime, whether the individual poses an immediate threat to the safety of officers or others, and whether the individual is actively resisting or attempting to evade arrest. The court also instructed that reasonableness must be judged from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene based on the facts known at the time, rather than with the benefit of hindsight. Officer Whitehall's conduct, therefore, cannot be measured against what we now know against Mr. Callahan's condition, but only against the circumstances as they appeared during the encounter. Now, on that standard, a court could find the initial approach with a drawn firearm reasonable. As Officer Whitehall was responding to a report of erratic driving, he had just watched the truck fail to yield and crash, and was receiving no response from the driver. The taser deployments, however, are more challenging to justify. In the 2010 case of Bryan v. McPherson, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over California, held that a taser is an intermediate, significant level of force that requires a strong governmental interest, and found its use excessive against an unarmed individual who was not fleeing, was not threatening anyone, and was at most passively failing to comply with commands. Now here, Mr. Callahan had his hands raised, made no aggressive movement, and did not attempt to flee. And the facts known to Officer Whitehall at that point, including a low-speed crash and a driver who was slow to respond and appeared dazed, were consistent with the medical episode as well as intoxication. A court would likely find the taser deployments unreasonable, particularly the second and third, which came after Mr. Callahan was already on the ground. A civil civil rights lawsuit that Mr. Callahan filed following this incident also alleged force and injury beyond what the footage shows, claiming that Officer Whitehall pushed Mr. Callahan's face into the pavement and that a Sonoma County Sheriff's sergeant knelt on his shoulder and pulled his right arm behind his back with enough force to break it. If those allegations were proven, a court would likely find that these additional uses of force also violated the Fourth Amendment.
Anything to drink today at all?
No.
Okay.
I don't drink.
You don't drink at all?
No, sir.
Okay.
I do jiu-jitsu. I train over at Terrell's. I got a brown belt.
Would you be all right to doing a preliminary alcohol breath test later on today?
Anytime.
Okay.
Right now, anytime.
How do you feel right now?
I feel better now that she gave me some sugar. I
Okay.
feel my brain's working. But when you first put me in the car, I didn't know what. I had no clue what was going on.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, man.
All right. Your first name's Jeff, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Jeff, hang tight. I'll roll this window down, so if you need anybody, just holler. All right?
Thank you.
What's that, Jeff?
The most important thing to me is my daughter.
Your daughter?
She's okay.
That was your daughter in the car?
That's my baby.
Okay.
That's my...
I think she's okay. All right. I think she's okay. She went to the hospital in an ambulance, but from everything I saw, I think she's going to be okay.
So what are we at? Where are we at here over here?
I don't think this is a deuce.
I think it's a diabetic issue.
I think it's a diabetic issue.
Yeah. From what I talked to Mom,
Okay.
she said he's type 1 diabetic, and there is a court-ordered custody arrangement. He's not supposed to have her right now.
He has the little blood thing on his arm or whatever. He said it wasn't operating correctly.
The car.
So I'll let him know that his blood sugar was tanking. He said he never saw my lights. He said he never heard my
gosh.
siren.
That's all consistent with diabetes.
It is, yeah. So at this point, I don't.
It's
He's got all the signs, like the objective signs, but all that can just be diabetic as well.
explore the child custody thing.
Yeah.
Find out, run a 26 on him, and then I'll provide her the mom's information and see if if we can find that court order.
Okay.
And see if it says that he's not supposed to have it. There's a arrest for that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're going to have to sit with him. Now, nobody has told him he's under arrest yet. Has he been Mirandized?
He's been Mirandized, and you're to answer my question.
Okay. Did you ask him any of the FST stuff?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so be advised, the review units can come in a little early. They'll be around.
Hey, ladies, do you know who this is? The man with
The only thing was asked if he had anything to drink today, and he said no.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the only FST question.
So, are you hearing what? Nope. This guy is diabetic. Yeah, I know. I heard. It's down to it's probably not a deuce. It's probably a diabetic issue.
Let's see.
He's saying that he didn't see lights. He didn't know we were trying to stop him. He thought there was something wrong with the car. So we'll do the whole FST, investigation thing.
Get blood taken.
I talked to Mom. She said he's type 1 diabetic. When I told her he was in a crash, she said, "Oh no, he's a diabetic." And he might have,
Yeah, and it could very well be. I heard the number.
Yeah.
These guys told me the number. I heard the gal.
Yeah.
So it absolutely.
The other thing
could
is
be.
he's not supposed to have a daughter right now. There's a court order for child custody arrangement, and he's violated that.
Before we continue, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Obscura VPN. Remember when the internet just worked? You'd open a website, do what you needed to do, and move on. Now it feels like every other platform wants your ID, your face, or your phone number. And with more governments pushing new age verification and identity requirements, we're all being asked to hand over more personal information than ever before. That's why I've been using Obscura VPN. One thing that really stood out to me is that traditional VPNs can see both who you are and the websites you visit. Obscura is different because it is built so it cryptographically can't link your identity with your internet activity. Privacy isn't just a promise, it's built into how the service works. Another feature I like is that Obscura includes built-in ad and online tracker blocking that you can configure yourself. You decide how much websites are allowed to track you instead of leaving that decision to someone else. And if you're someone who actually cares about privacy, you'll probably appreciate this too. You don't even need a personal email to create an account. So if you're looking for a privacy-first VPN, go to obscura.com/theaudit or scan the QR code on your screen. Obscura is giving my viewers 25% off a subscription for only $6 a month. Thanks again to Obscura VPN for sponsoring today's episode. While the officers discuss whether Mr. Callahan can be charged with any crime, Sergeant Fensky asserts multiple times that Mr. Callahan is not supposed to have his daughter that day, and that he has violated a court-ordered custody arrangement by having her. However, Mr. Callahan's complaint alleged that when Sergeant Fensky reached the child's mother by phone, she told him that although the court order provided for weekend visitation, she regularly allowed Mr. Callahan to see their daughter when he asked, and had given him permission to have her that day. Now, while child custody disputes are generally considered to be civil matters, under certain limited circumstances, a parent can be charged with a crime for non-compliance with a custody order. Section 278.5 of the California Penal Code makes it a crime to take, keep, withhold, or conceal a child with the malicious intent to deprive a lawful custodian of their right to custody or another individual of their visitation rights. The malice element of this statute limits its application to deliberate custodial interference rather than technical deviations from a visitation schedule. Well, assuming that the conversation with the child's mother occurred as described in the complaint, it is improbable that a court would conclude that the deviation from the custody agreement supplied any lawful basis for Mr. Callahan's arrest.
So, and the other thing is, diabetic fits like that.
Yeah.
Every one I've been in, they're short-lived before the blackout.
Which when you said he was unresponsive when you pulled him over,
yeah,
you weren't getting anything from
so that could have happened. But the travel from downtown to here, the highest rate of about 30 miles an hour, most were between 20 and 30. That's an awful long time. Because the diabetic episode can be induced because of the alcohol you ingested too.
So you did the Miranda thing. Find out about the. Is he coherent?
Oh yeah.
You're able to talk to him.
And the dad in me hopes it's diabetic.
Yeah.
Seriously. I don't want to think about that poor beautiful little girl having to live with that.
So start working.
So is mom on her way?
She's headed to the hospital.
Okay, good. So if that gets extended at all, just get a hold of Sarge at Sonoma County just to let him know what's up.
Yeah. He was aware. I gave him the phone number for the mom so that his deputy can.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Oh, you got a hold before you
There's
took
a
off.
deputy over there waiting with the daughter.
Yes. No, I know
And,
that.
The sergeant. Yes.
That's what I
talked
said.
with their sergeant.
So
and
you
gave
got
him the
Sarge,
phone
you got that?
number.
Okay, good.
So work the DUI,
I want the dues.
foul engagement, and the pursuit and all that aspect, but see if we can do FSTs with them.
Okay.
They're going to probably want to take him to the hospital.
No, they released
okay
him
with
us.
releasing him?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I figured we were going to take him anyways.
He won't be able to go to jail until he's medically cleared.
Yeah.
So if it goes that route, we'll take him to jail.
Although the available footage ends while the officers are still on scene, court records and news reports document what followed. Despite concluding that Mr. Callahan was likely suffering from a hypoglycemic episode, Officer Whitehall continued his DUI investigation and administered a horizontal gaze nystagmus test at the scene. His arrest report stated that Mr. Callahan's eyes exhibited a lack of smooth pursuit and an onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees, findings consistent with intoxication. However, the complaint alleges that the body camera footage of the test shows no such indicators. Officer Whitehall then transported Mr. Callahan to a hospital, where he consented to a preliminary alcohol screening test, which registered a breath alcohol content of 0.000%, and to a blood draw, which later came back clear of any intoxicating substances. His arm was x-rayed and placed in a cast and sling, and by the time that he was released from the hospital bed to which he had been handcuffed, he had spent nearly 5 hours in restraints. A little after 10 that night, Officer Whitehall booked Mr. Callahan into the Sonoma County Jail on suspicion of felony vehicular evading, felony child endangerment, and resisting arrest. Mr. Callahan's complaint additionally alleged that Officer Whitehall requested the Sonoma County District Attorney to also consider charges of DUI once the blood test results were returned, and that Sergeant Fensky submitted a suspected child abuse report to Sonoma County Child Protective Services listing Mr. Callahan as the abuser and his daughter as the victim. On February 10th, 2025, the Sonoma County District Attorney declined to file any charges against Mr. Callahan. On July 14th, 2025, 1 year after the incident, Mr. Callahan and his daughter filed a federal civil rights lawsuit in the United States District Court for the Northern District of California against the City of Sebastopol, Officer Whitehall, Sergeant Fensky, and Captain James Hickey, asserting claims crimes including excessive force, unlawful detention, false arrest, conspiracy to violate civil rights, and false imprisonment. By the time that the lawsuit was filed, Officer Whitehall had left the department to work for the Petaluma Police Department, and Captain Hickey had retired. In early July of 2026, the city of Sebastopol announced that it had reached a $1.95 million settlement of the lawsuit, stating in its news release that the settlement was not an admission of liability. Overall, the Sebastopol officers get an F for using significant force against a citizen who was not actively resisting, continuing to detain and ultimately jailing an individual after the evidence pointed to a medical emergency, and maintaining an accusatory posture throughout an encounter that called for medical attention rather than suspicion. Officer Whitehall tased Mr. Callahan 3 times while he stood with his hands raised or lay on the ground, with no weapon visible, no threats made, and no attempt to flee. And the governing constitutional standard permits that level of force only when a strong governmental interest justifies it. Nothing in Mr. Callahan's conduct supplied that interest, and the circumstances apparent at the time, including the low-speed crash and the driver's dazed condition, should have prompted consideration of a medical explanation, as officers are trained to do. Once the medics identified the hypoglycemic episode and the breath test registered zeros, the justification for treating Mr. Callahan as a criminal suspect was gone, and yet the officers kept him in handcuffs for nearly 5 hours, pursued a custody theory that the child's mother had already refuted, and booked him into jail on felony charges that the district attorney ultimately declined to pursue. Arresting and jailing a citizen whose innocence has been established by every objective measure available reflects poor judgment at every level of suspicion on scene, and the officer's insistence on treating confusion and incapacity as defiance carried that air through each stage of the encounter. This interaction highlights the importance of recognizing the signs of a medical emergency in the field, and the harm that follows when officers commit to a criminal explanation before the evidence supports one. Now, as for Mr. Callahan, I cannot rightly assign a grade to an individual who was suffering a severe hypoglycemic emergency and had no meaningful control over his actions. However, it is worth noting that nothing that Mr. Callahan did that day suggests wrongdoing. He took his insulin as prescribed, relied on a monitoring device that failed without warning, and was spending an ordinary afternoon with his daughter when his blood sugar dropped. Once he regained coherence, he answered every question, he disclosed his medical history, and consented to every test requested of him, all of which supported his account. He then pursued his remedies through the courts, filing a federal civil rights lawsuit that resulted in a $1.95 million settlement. I commend Mr. Callahan for his cooperation under circumstances that he did not create, and for seeking accountability through the judicial process rather than through on-the-scene confrontation. On September 17th, 2022, an officer with the Edmond Police Department in Edmond, Oklahoma was on patrol when he saw a silver vehicle with a broken third brake light. The 39-year-old driver, Brandon Riles, turned into a parking lot, and the officer activated his emergency lights to conduct a stop of the vehicle. The interaction that followed was captured on the officer's body camera.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Where's I'm pulling you over, your third brake light's out.
My third brake light?
Yeah, the one of the... Yeah.
No, it works pretty good.
No, it doesn't.
Huh.
See your ID, please?
I don't have one.
Okay. You don't have one at all?
I haven't violated anything or heard the First Amendment, so I'll need to show you ID. You actually stopped there, then when I pulled in here, then you pulled me over. So I've been reporting this all the
Can
time.
you start me another?
Yeah, go ahead and start another unit.
Okay, your third brake light is out. And perfect enough, my supervisor's pulling up.
All right, that's cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
So you have no ID on you. Are you refusing to identify yourself?
I don't talk to police, sir.
Okay. Well, easy enough. Go ahead and put your car in park for me. It's in park? Okay, cool. Huh?
How's your night?
It's good. All right, go ahead and step out of the car for me.
No.
Okay, so this is how this is going to go, okay? I have a legal right to remove you from the vehicle.
How?
It's case law from the Supreme Court.
No, it's not. So
It 100% is. You've been pulled over for... You've been pulled over for a traffic violation.
Public parking
Can you
lot.
please let me finish?
Dude, I've been recording this
Okay,
whole time.
you have a third brake. Hit your brakes. Hit your brakes. So are you refusing to exit the vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't exit the vehicle, I'm going to place you under arrest, okay?
For what?
For resisting, because you're not following my...
arrest?
Yeah, because
What am
I'm
I
giving you a
resisting
legal...
arrest from?
I'm giving you a legal
What am I
order.
resisting arrest from?
I'm giving you a legal
Private
order.
Property. What am I resisting arrest from?
Okay.
I'm
giving you a legal... I'm giving you a legal order.
I
to
just pulled
exit
into
this
the parking
vehicle.
lot, and then you pulled me over.
I'm giving you a legal order to exit this vehicle.
The officer informs Mr. Riles that he will be arrested for resisting if he does not step out of the vehicle. As we've discussed many times on ATA, officers generally have the authority to order individuals to step out of vehicles during traffic stops under the infamous Mims case. Under Section 268 of Title 21 of the Oklahoma statutes, quote, every person who knowingly resists by the use of force or violence any executive officer in the performance of his duty is guilty of a misdemeanor. As the Court of Criminal Appeals of Oklahoma explained in the 1976 case of Reams versus State, quote, in order to sustain a charge of resisting an officer in the discharge of his official duty, it is necessary for the proof to show some act of aggression on the part of the accused from which the court and jury can reasonably infer forcible resistance or interference. Now, because Mr. Riles did not act aggressively or forcibly resist, it is highly unlikely that a court would find that his refusal to exit the vehicle was sufficient to sustain a conviction for resisting an officer. However, according to the state obstruction statute, which is codified in Section 540 of Title 21 of the Oklahoma statutes, quote, any person who willfully delays or obstructs any public officer in the discharge or attempt to discharge any duty of his or her office is guilty of a misdemeanor. In the 2013 case of Tucker versus Oklahoma City, the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Oklahoma found that officers had probable cause to arrest an individual for obstruction when he failed to comply with lawful orders by initially refusing to obey emergency signals to stop his vehicle and delaying his compliance with instructions to exit the vehicle and move away from it after he eventually stopped. Based on this precedent, a court would likely conclude that Mr. Riles' refusal to exit the vehicle was adequate to support an obstruction charge. It's also important to note that in the 2015 case of State versus Nelson, the Court of Criminal Appeals of Oklahoma held that citizens do not have the right to resist an illegal traffic stop, and that consequently, an individual could be convicted of obstruction for refusing to comply with officer commands during a traffic stop that was later held to be illegal. In reaching this conclusion, the court argued that, now I'm quoting, the typical motorist simply is not equipped to make a determination of whether there is a legal basis for a traffic stop, and that the issue of whether an officer has probable cause to make the traffic stop, now quoting again, should be resolved in a courtroom, not in the streets. Accordingly, even if a court determined that the underlying traffic stop was unlawful, it is still likely that it would conclude that Mr. Riles violated the obstruction statute by refusing to exit the vehicle.
I'm giving you a legal order to
parking lot.
It doesn't matter. You committed a traffic violation on the road.
Any traffic violation.
You have a third brake light out. That is a traffic violation, an equipment violation. You can step out of the vehicle right now, or you will go.
I do not have to.
Are we getting another unit over here?
That's my First Amendment right.
Okay.
So
you obviously don't understand how the First Amendment.
I stopped in the parking lot. Then you turned on your lights. How are you doing, sir?
Good.
So you just turned on your lights when I was in the parking lot.
Okay.
So I have a First Amendment
right. It's a traffic stop.
For what? I was already in the parking lot.
An infraction based on the roadway, sir.
Say again, sir?
An infraction that happened on the roadway.
No, that's not what happened. I pulled into the parking lot, then he turned on his lights.
That can work.
Drinking establishment. You guys saw me pull over here. So because I missed my turn, then you turned on your lights after I pulled into the parking lot because I missed my turn.
Right.
Now all of a sudden it's all this whole thing. So you're trying to violate my First Amendment.
That's not what's happening.
I recorded the whole time.
Your First Amendment is a freedom of speech, sir.
So First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So I do not have to.
So you don't think your third brake light's out?
Just call if you guys are going to be pushing like this.
No,
I would recommend that I ask for a supervisor.
This is a supervisor.
I'm right here, sir.
He's a lieutenant.
All right. So if what I'm saying isn't resonating with y'all, I'm going to ask for you guys to call the FBI.
No.
Okay.
Yes, straight up.
Listen,
their
sir.
number is 297.
Listen.
It's not hard.
Listen. He stopped you for a traffic violation.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's what you're saying, yes, sir.
That's what I'm saying.
I pulled in here, then he turned on his lights.
That's fine. That's a traffic violation.
No, I was
It's a traffic.
here.
Listen,
Listen,
I'm trying to explain to you, sir.
I stopped, tried to reverse, and then he turned on his lights.
Okay.
Look at how my vehicle's positioned versus y'all's.
Okay, listen. You're not listening whatsoever. You just keep wanting to talk over everybody. Okay. He had a traffic stop conducted on you for a traffic violation that happened on the roadway. That's perfectly legal, perfectly fine.
No,
He's asking you to step from the vehicle.
No. I had pulled into the parking lot, then he turned on his lights.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. We've explained it now.
Is Detective Botwell working tonight?
No.
We've explained it a few different times.
No.
Okay, we
That's
could
the law. You guys are trying to violate my rights.
Okay.
Mr. Riles argues that his rights are being violated because the officer did not stop him for the allegedly broken third brake light until after he had pulled into the parking lot. According to Section 12-206 of Title 47 of the Oklahoma statutes, quote, every vehicle shall be equipped with at least 2 stop lamps, which shall meet the requirements of this section. The statute also states that, quote, if so equipped in its original design and manufacture, every motor vehicle shall be additionally equipped with a center high-mounted stop lamp located on the vertical center line above the level of the stop lamps described in this section, which shall display a red light, which shall be actuated upon application of the brakes. Therefore, although Oklahoma law does not require that all vehicles have 3 brake lights, if a vehicle is equipped with a third brake light, it must be functional. And Mr. Riles' alleged broken brake light would violate this statute and authorize the officer to conduct a traffic stop. As to whether a traffic stop can be conducted in a private parking lot, in the 2004 case of Thornton versus United States, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of a vehicle search that occurred during a traffic stop that was not initiated until after the driver parked in a parking lot and exited his vehicle. Likewise, in the 2016 case of United States versus Cone, the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Oklahoma concluded that a detention in a motel parking lot for a traffic offense that was observed on a public street was a traffic stop that only needed to be supported by reasonable suspicion. In support of this determination, the court reasoned that, quote, it is true that most traffic stops occur on the road, and police are required to use emergency lights to alert a driver to pull over to allow a police officer to conduct an investigative detention, but there is no authority suggesting that a traffic stop must occur in this fashion. Following these cases, a court would almost certainly conclude that officers may conduct traffic stops in parking lots for violations observed on a public road, even when they do not initiate the stop on the road, and that the officer here was within his authority to stop Mr. Riles for a non-functional third brake light.
Go ahead and step out.
No.
Okay. Well, you're under arrest, okay?
I'm not under arrest.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
I'm not getting out. You guys are violating. Hey, you can't just
get out of the car. Get out of the car. Step out of the car.
Step out. Hey,
step out of the car.
Step out. We're going to force you out if you don't.
Step out of the car. You're under arrest.
Whoa, easy, fellas.
For me? There you go. You're good now.
There you go. All right.
When Mr. Riles refuses to exit the vehicle, the officers force him out of the truck and onto the ground to put him in handcuffs. As the Supreme Court noted in the 1989 case of Graham versus Connor, quote, Fourth Amendment jurisprudence has long recognized that the right to make an arrest or investigatory stop necessarily carries with it the right to use some degree of physical coercion or threat thereof to effect it. In the same case, the court outlined 3 factors for courts to consider when determining whether a use of force is constitutionally unreasonable or excessive: the severity of the crime, whether the suspect posed an immediate threat, and whether the suspect was actively resisting or trying to evade arrest by flight. Applying this framework, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Oklahoma, held in the 2007 case of Meekum versus Frazier that officers did not use excessive force when they sprayed an uncooperative motorist in the face with pepper spray, physically removed her from her car, put her on the ground, and handcuffed her after she repeatedly refused to exit her vehicle but did not physically resist. Likewise, in the 2023 case of Helvey versus Jenkins, the 10th Circuit concluded that an officer was justified in using a motorist's leg to drag him out of his truck after he pulled his arm away and leaned into his truck to try to avoid being pulled out of his vehicle. In reaching this conclusion, the court reasoned that, quote, given that officers can order drivers to exit their vehicles, it necessarily follows that they can use reasonable force to execute those orders. Otherwise, the power to order the driver to exit the vehicle would be hollow. However, in the 2016 case of Davis versus Clifford, the 10th Circuit determined that officers were not entitled to qualified immunity in an excessive force claim where a driver alleged that they smashed her car window, pulled her through the broken window by her hair and arms, and threw her on the glass-littered pavement when she did not immediately comply with their orders to exit the vehicle. In this situation, Mr. Riles was given multiple opportunities to exit the vehicle and unequivocally refused to do so. And he also appeared to physically resist the officer's attempts to extract him from his truck. Therefore, because the officers seemed to only use the amount of force necessary to remove him from the vehicle, it is likely that a court would find that his removal from the vehicle did not constitute excessive force.
Are you going to stand up and walk to the car? We're going to carry you.
Whatever you guys need.
Well, that would have been helpful like 5 minutes ago, sir.
I've been pretty reasonable the whole time.
No.
other side's one.
Here, hold on, my shoulder's caught on your chair right here. Yeah, just tear the shirt there.
Well, if you don't help
Here, I got you. I'm stuck.
There we go.
I'm stuck on your chair. Body camera.
I'm 1015.
Call the FBI.
One time. Route City Jail
Dispatch,
starting
call
is 3-9.
FBI. You guys aren't going to beat me or abuse me anymore?
Nobody beat you and abused you in the first place.
I'd like someone to call the FBI, please.
You can call them later.
After his arrest, officers requested that Mr. Riles provide a breath sample to test his blood alcohol concentration, but he refused. On September 27, 2022, Mr. Riles was charged with driving under the influence, resisting an officer, driving with a canceled, suspended, or revoked license, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Court records indicate that Mr. Riles was released on bond, but warrants were issued when he failed to appear for a court date. On June 21, 2023, Mr. Riles appeared in court without an attorney, and his pretrial conference was set to September 6, 2023 to give him time to hire an attorney. As of the date of writing this episode, the charges against Mr. Riles are still pending, and it is unclear whether he has filed any complaints or plans to pursue legal action against the officers involved or the Edmond Police Department. Overall, the Edmond officers get an A- for maintaining professional and respectful demeanors throughout the encounter, attempting to correct Mr. Riles' misconceptions about his constitutional rights, and giving Mr. Riles multiple opportunities to exit his vehicle before resorting to the use of force. Although there are times when the officers could have communicated more clearly, they seem to have a reasonable understanding of the legal framework surrounding traffic stops, and attempted to explain the law to Mr. Riles on multiple occasions, despite his constant interruptions. Additionally, while it's unclear from the footage why the officers carried Mr. Riles to the cruiser after his arrest, the most logical explanation is that he would not stand and walk there himself. And while I believe the officers may have been able to avoid tearing his clothing by exercising a little more care, for the most part, it appears likely that the officers only used the amount of force that was necessary to effectuate the arrest. Mr. Riles gets an F for demonstrating a complete lack of understanding of his constitutional rights, repeatedly refusing to comply with the officer's orders, and potentially driving under the influence. Now, while I understand that Mr. Riles did not believe that the traffic stop was lawful, he continually talked over the officer's attempts to explain the legality, and by refusing to exit the vehicle, he likely committed the criminal offense of obstruction, which in Oklahoma can apply even if the underlying detention was unconstitutional. This encounter demonstrates why it is essential that individuals have an accurate understanding of their rights before they attempt to defend them, and how refusing to comply with officer commands in order to challenge the validity of a stop on the scene instead of in court can lead to further legal problems. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out Audit the Court if you're interested in exploring the legal nuance beyond the body cam.